I invited my brother to stay with me after his divorce. Gave him my couch, bought groceries, even let him borrow my car. One day I came home and found him sitting with my ex. He said, she just needed someone to talk to. You weren't around. My ex looked me in the eye and said, he listens better than you ever did. I asked him to leave. He said, this is as much mine as it is yours now. I changed the locks. 3 months later, they posted an engagement announcement. In my driveway. I'm not the kind of guy who likes drama. I keep my head down, go to work, pay my bills, mind my business. I don't lie. I don't steal. I try to help when I can. I always thought doing right by people meant they'd do right by me. That was my first mistake. I'm Derek. I'm 39. I live in Asheville, North Carolina, on the south side of town. I've got a simple place. 3-bedroom ranch, decent yard, a 2-car driveway. I work full-time as a mechanic. I've been at the same shop for over a decade. It's not fancy, but it's honest work, and I've built a life around it. Up until last year, I had a long-term girlfriend named Trina. We'd been together nearly 5 years. She had her own apartment, but she was staying at my place most of the time. We'd talked about buying a place together. She kept saying, maybe next year, but I figured she just wanted to be sure. I loved her. She made me laugh, and we had good chemistry, at least, I thought we did. Then my brother Evan came back into my life. Evan is 2 years younger than me. We were close as kids, but he always had this way of sliding through life. He'd lie, cheat, and charm his way out of everything. Got into fights, got caught shoplifting once, even crashed our parents' car when he was 17. But somehow, he always landed on his feet. People just liked him. He was the smooth talker. I was the guy who fixed stuff. I hadn't seen him in over a year when he called me out of nowhere. He told me he was getting divorced. Said his wife kicked him out and he was staying with some guy he barely knew. He sounded rough. Said he was broke, had no job, no car. I asked if he needed help. He said, I just need a place to stay until I get back on my feet. So, I told him to come stay with me. I cleared space in the living room, gave him my couch, and even offered to help him find work. At first, it felt good. Like we were reconnecting. I bought more groceries, drove him around, let him use my car when I wasn't at work. Trina wasn't crazy about it, but she said she understood. He's your brother, she told me. I get it. But Evan didn't start looking for jobs. He started sleeping in. Watching TV all day. Eating everything in the fridge. He treated my house like it was his. Didn't clean up, didn't offer to help, nothing. Still, I let it go. I kept telling myself, he's going through something. He just needs time. That was my second mistake. Around the same time, Trina started acting distant. She used to come over all the time. Then it was just weekends. Then once a week. Then not at all. I'd text, she'd reply late or not at all. I'd ask what was wrong, and she'd say, I'm just tired, or work's been crazy. One Friday night, I had to stay late at the shop. We had a truck that needed a full transmission rebuild. I got home around 11 p.m., exhausted, sweaty, hungry. As I pulled into the driveway, I noticed the lights were on. I figured Evan was just watching TV. But when I opened the door, there they were. Trina. Sitting on the couch. Evan. Sitting next to her. Neither of them looked surprised to see me. What the hell's going on? I asked. Evan stood up like it was no big deal. She just needed someone to talk to. You weren't around. I looked at Trina. She didn't even flinch. Just stared at me and said, he listens better than you ever did. That was it. I walked out. I drove around for over an hour. No music. No destination. Just driving and trying to stop my hands from shaking. When I finally came home, Evan was still there. Still sitting on my damn couch like nothing happened. I told him to leave. He stood up and said, "This is as much mine as it is yours now." I didn't yell. I didn't argue. I just walked into my room, locked the door, and didn't sleep a single second. The next morning, I called out of work. I drove to Lowe's, bought new locks, and changed them before noon. I bagged up all of Evan's stuff. Clothes, shoes, some old PS4 games, and left them on the porch. That night, he came back. Knocked on the door. I didn't answer. He banged harder. I just stood inside, quiet, watching through the peephole. He finally left. I didn't hear from him again. Trina never called. 3 months went by. Then one Saturday afternoon, I heard honking out front. I looked out the window and nearly dropped my drink. Evan's old pickup was in my driveway. Hanging from the back bumper was a white banner that said, "Just engaged." And there they were, Trina and Evan, standing in my driveway, holding hands, smiling like they just won the lottery. She looked me dead in the eye. He raised his hand like he was proud. That's when I decided they weren't walking away clean. They didn't just take my kindness for granted, they laughed in my face. And I was done being the guy who stayed quiet. They left after about 10 minutes. I didn't go outside. I didn't give them the reaction they wanted. But I watched. I stood behind my curtain and stared as they kissed in my driveway, as if that was their territory now. Like they were staking a claim. That was the last time I let them control the story. First thing I did was start talking. Not loud, not online, just quiet, direct, and real. I talked to people in town. Friends. Old co-workers of Evan's from before he moved away. I found out a lot. Turns out, Evan didn't just fall on hard times. He burned bridges. Slept with a married co-worker. Got fired for stealing from a cash box. Lied to everyone. Even his wife's brother wanted to fight him, apparently. That divorce of his wasn't as clean as he claimed either, he cheated first. Multiple times. People didn't trust Evan. They'd just forgotten about him. Until now. So I reminded them. I didn't go around slandering him. I told the truth. I told it calm and cold and slow, like a man fixing an engine, piece by piece. Then I started showing up where they were. I didn't start fights. I just existed. They went to a local brewery one night. I showed up with friends from work, sat at a nearby table, and stared at them until they left. They went to a farmer's market. I helped a buddy run a booth that weekend, right across from where they were walking. Evan started getting twitchy. Trina wouldn't look me in the eye. Then came the job posting. I knew the place Evan had applied to. Small electrical supply warehouse just outside town. My cousin worked there. When Evan's name came up, my cousin called me, just to say, "Hey, isn't this your brother?" I told him everything. Evan didn't get the job. Then I found out Trina had started working part-time at a dentist's office up in Weaverville. So I booked an appointment. I sat in the chair. Waited until she walked in to do the cleaning. She froze when she saw me. I smiled. "How's Evan?" I asked, real casual. She left the room before the cleaning even started. Her boss called me later to cancel my follow-ups. I didn't mind. Message was sent. A week later, they tried to come back to my house. Evan knocked. This time I opened the door. He said, "You're being real immature about this." I said, "I gave you a roof, and you stabbed me in the back. If that's what you call immature, maybe look in the mirror. He stepped forward like he wanted to square up. I didn't flinch. Trina was behind him, arms crossed, looking at the ground. I said, "You two deserve each other." Then I shut the door. 2 days later, the engagement banner disappeared from social media. But I wasn't done yet. About a week after that last visit, I got a call from my aunt, our mom's sister. She said Evan had been calling around asking for money. He told her he was in a tight spot and needed help with rent. Said Trina had cut her hours and they were between gigs. She didn't give him a cent. Instead, she asked me if I knew what was going on with him. I told her he was living with my ex-fiancée, after betraying me in my own house. She went silent. Then she said, "Jesus, Derek. I didn't know it was that bad." That's when I had an idea. A slow, painful, ugly idea. You see, the house they were living in now. It wasn't a real apartment. It was an old rental cabin off a private road on the edge of town, near Lake Julian. A friend of mine named Kyle owned it. Evan had found it through Facebook Marketplace and moved in because the rent was cheap and Kyle didn't ask a lot of questions. Kyle was a good guy, but he hated drama. Hated noise. Hated parties. So I called him. I told him what was going on. He listened quietly. I didn't ask him to evict Evan, I just asked him to drive by at night. He did. 2 days later, he called me. They had a party on a Tuesday. Loud music. Drunk people out front. Someone puked in my flower bed. Evan had broken the one rule Kyle cared about. Kyle gave them 30 days. I didn't stop there. I started going through some old boxes. Stuff from when Trina and I were together. I remembered she used my laptop to log into a joint bank app once. So I powered it on, dug around in the browser history, and sure enough, saved passwords. Her email. Her cloud storage. Her shared folders. I didn't snoop for long. Just enough to see what I needed. There were messages between her and Evan. Screenshots. Photos. One thread stood out, it was dated 2 months before I caught them on the couch. She told him she was tired of Derek, that she couldn't keep pretending, and that he made her feel alive again. There was even a photo of them in my garage, leaning on my own damn car, like it was their secret hideout. I saved it all. I didn't post it online. I sent it privately. To her mom. To her little sister. To her old roommate, who hated Evan already. No captions. No notes. Just the pictures, and the dates. The fallout was immediate. Her sister texted me, "What the hell is wrong with them?" Her mom emailed, "I'm so sorry, Derek. I didn't raise her like this." I didn't reply. That weekend, I saw them at a gas station. Evan tried to act tough, but he looked worn down. Hollow. Trina didn't even get out of the car. That's when I knew I'd hit the nerve. But karma wasn't done working yet. Turns out, Trina had co-signed a lease on a used car for Evan. He had bad credit, and she wanted to help him rebuild. But now that he was broke, behind on rent, and in the middle of getting kicked out, he started missing payments. And the car got repossessed. A week later, I heard through the grapevine that Trina moved back in with her mom. Alone. Evan. No one knew where he went. And just when I thought I was done digging, I got one final surprise. A certified letter. From Evan. The letter was a joke. A real, certified, sent through the mail joke. Inside was 1 page. No apology. No regret. Just some half-assed attempt to scare me. He accused me of harassment. Said I had damaged his reputation. Claimed I made it impossible for him to rebuild his life. Then, in the last line, he threatened legal action if I didn't back off. I laughed. Not because it was funny. But because this man, this snake, still didn't get it. He thought I was trying to ruin his life. He did that himself. I didn't steal his girlfriend. I didn't lie my way into someone else's house. I didn't stab my own brother in the back after he gave me a couch, food, and a car to drive. But still. I wanted this to be over. I called a lawyer friend. Not to fight back, just to protect myself. She read the letter and said, "This is trash. He's bluffing. But if you want to send a response, I've got an idea." And I did. My response was one page too. I listed the dates he stayed at my house. The receipts for the groceries I bought. The record of him borrowing my car, still had the text messages with him asking. I attached the messages between him and Trina, with the timestamps. Then I added the names of everyone he burned before me, people he owed money to, the jobs he got fired from, the landlords who chased him down for rent. My friend stamped it and sent it back, with a little note at the bottom, "If you want to go legal, let's go." I never heard from Evan again. 3 months passed. I got a message from Trina's sister. She told me Trina tried to move back into their mom's house full-time, but the tension got so bad that she ended up leaving. She was staying with some friend in Boone now. No job, no car, and apparently, no Evan. Then came the best part. Evan popped up on a Facebook group months later. Someone posted a photo of a man panhandling near a rest stop just outside Charlotte. The caption said, "Anyone know this guy? Keeps asking people for gas money but then walks behind the building and disappears." It was Evan. Still had the same jacket he stole from me. And still running his mouth, only now to strangers. I never commented. I never shared it. I just saved the picture to my phone. And every now and then, when I feel like doubting myself, when I wonder if I went too far, I look at that picture. And I remember that sometimes, being quiet and kind doesn't make you weak. Sometimes it makes you the perfect storm. Because people like Evan think you'll never fight back. They think you'll roll over and take it. But I didn't. I stood my ground. I kept my receipts. And I let karma take the final swing. He stole my peace for a while. But I took everything else. And I never looked back.